pandemic. If you don't know what you're
Mr.
doing,
Cuomo.
people
We have to
could
move on.
die.
Mr. Mamdani, want to respond?
And if we have a health pandemic, then why would New Yorkers turn back to the governor who sent seniors to their death in nursing homes? Ooh. That's the kind of experience that's on offer here today. What I don't have in experience, I make up for in integrity. And what you don't have in integrity, you could never make up for in experience.
God damn.
First, what you said was totally false, as you know.
Which part was false?
God, he's so old and unlikable. The first New York City general election debate just happened, and it was undoubtedly a banger. I'm sure you've probably seen some highlights by now, but there are a few crucial points that I think have been overlooked. I keep seeing leftists post about how Zohran has sold out, how he's giving in to the Zionists, the conservatives, the cops, which is actually just a circular Venn diagram. And of course, I have a lot of thoughts and concerns about some of the things that he's said and has been saying more recently, in addition to some of the speculation around his liberalization. So let's play some of the clips from the debate and recent interviews to gain a little bit of insight into the mind of Zohran Mamdani. Also, stay tuned to the end for an extra special, never-before-seen Zohran lore clip that I think you will appreciate. Also, if you enjoy this kind of content, please consider liking and subscribing, and join our growing community over on Patreon to keep videos like these ad-free.
I have been clear time and time again that as much as Andrew Cuomo wants to bring up tweets from 2020, which is around the same time that he was sending seniors to their death in nursing homes, I am looking to work with police officers, not to defund the NYPD, looking to ensure that officers can actually do one job when they're signing up to join that department.
But he's
not the many jobs we're asking them to do today.
He was specifically
with the mental
referring to
health
comments
crisis.
you made. We will come back to that.
Some folks are upset that Zohran is cozying up to the cops in New York. And as someone whose uncle was an NYPD detective and frequently posts on Facebook about how much he dislikes minorities, I get it. You have to understand that the NYPD is a standing army. Its budget is greater than most nations. It would be top 30. If it was its own military, it would be a top 30 most funded military in the world, greater than countries like Vietnam, North Korea, Angola, Tanzania, etc. That's crazy. It is a standing military that polices a city. So, Zohran has to win over the NYPD no matter what, or else history shows us that very bad things are going to happen.
Today in New York City, the debate is over who should have the power to investigate complaints of police misconduct. Mayor Dinkins has proposed an all-civilian review board. Thousands of off-duty police officers responded yesterday with an angry demonstration at City Hall. The scene turned ugly as those expected to make...
Look at this guy. Look at this guy's phenotype. If that's not a cop, I don't know what is a cop.
Maintain law and order, damaged cars, shut down the Brooklyn Bridge, and reportedly directed racial slurs at the mayor. Refusing to back down, Mayor David Dinkins spoke before the city council today.
Okay, if it's not clear, this guy is David Dinkins. He was a Democratic socialist who was mayor of New York City in the 90s. And for context, there was a review board in place that reviewed misconduct by the NYPD. However, it was mostly composed of fellow police officers. So of course, much like Israel has shown us in the past, I would say 2 years, but much longer than that by now, when you investigate yourself, it usually doesn't lead to the best outcome. So there was a bunch of corruption. Cops were investigating themselves on misconduct cases, and it was horrible. Generally speaking, the cops were super corrupt. So David Dinkins proposed a civilian review board. This meant that folks who were not police officers could then investigate police misconduct. Cops thought this was such a crazy radical idea that they came out, oftentimes drunken, and protested against the black mayor of New York City, calling him slurs, and by and large, effectively taking away his control over the standing army that polices New York City. This was disastrous for his time in charge of New York City, and by and large demonstrated that the police unions had a chokehold over power in New York City, not the mayor. Not to mention, this was one of the many reasons Rudy Giuliani was able to win over the police and the city more broadly in his successful campaign for mayor just before 9/11. Something similar happened to Bill de Blasio not that long ago. De Blasio wanted to do extremely light police reform, including getting rid of stop and frisk, which was a wildly racist policy where cops could just yoink random brown kids off the street and physically assault them.
The 32-year-old officer was fatally shot in his patrol car on December 20th, along with his partner, Officer Rafael Ramos. As Mayor Bill de Blasio spoke at the funeral for Officer Liu, some police officers turned their backs as he paid tribute.
So when 2 cops were killed in the fallout of the murder of Eric Garner, the police literally turned their backs on the mayor of New York City. In addition to the union head saying that Bill de Blasio had blood on his hands.
That blood on the hands starts on the steps of City Hall in the office of the mayor.
So what does any of this have to do with Zohran? And I promise we'll get to Israel in just a sec, but this is really important. Zohran has proposed keeping the number of cops the same while including a Department of Community Safety. This approach relies on decades of research and examples from all around the world in comparable programs that have been overwhelmingly effective. Basically, it just says that we should have professional social workers be able to alleviate some of the emergencies in New York City that otherwise probably wouldn't benefit from having some guy with a gun yelling at a dude with schizophrenia, for example. This program is somewhat similar to what de Blasio was doing, but I'd say probably a little bit more comprehensive, all things considered. So, of course, the writing is on the wall. Zohran has to do this dance on this thin blue line, if you will, to try to win over the $6 billion standing army over which he'll be presiding. Unless, of course, he wants them to drunkenly turn their backs on him, just like they did to David Dinkins, and probably whip out slurs that we've never even heard before. Okay, now we can talk about Israel. And yeah, he said some things that I don't fully agree with, but I think some criticism of him in some regards has been kind of ridiculous. But nothing has been as ridiculous as Zohran Mamdani refusing to condemn Hassan Piker.
Why wouldn't he condemn Hamas? Why wouldn't he condemn Hassan Piker? Why did it take us here tonight for the first time for him to say it? He still won't denounce globalize the Intifada, which means kill all Jews.
These are 3 equally important things. Hamas, Hassan Piker, and globalize the Intifada. Every New Yorker is talking about this. These are the 3 issues that people really care about in New York City.
I denounce it. He won't do it. That's the issue.
Mr.
And his divisiveness
Cuomo, can you address the question
is
that we're putting
chronic.
to you? I think you've made the point, but can you please answer about your own relationship with the Muslim community? You did not visit mosques for many years. More recently, you have been.
Yeah, I don't think I don't think in any way the assemblyman is representative of the Muslim community, which is a vital community in New York City, and I am very fond of, and I've been working with. I think he's playing his own politics. Many of his positions don't even follow the Muslim faith, so I see them as 2 totally separate things.
Mr. Mamdani, want to respond?
That's a crazy thing to say. That's actually kind of fucked. Can you imagine if you said that to like a Jewish person? Like, no disrespect to Jewish folks, but like if you were to be like, well, a lot of what you have to say isn't really Jewish, is it? But you could only say that to a Muslim guy because of how normalized it is to just like be racist or just be a dickhead to like Muslim guys in America. That's crazy.
You know, it took Andrew Cuomo being beaten by a Muslim candidate in the Democratic primary for him to set foot in a mosque. He had more than 10 years, and he couldn't name a single mosque at the last debate we had that he visited. And what Muslims want in this city is what every community wants and deserves. They want equality, and they want respect. And it took me to get you to even see those Muslims as part of this city. And that, frankly, is something that is shameful and is why so many New Yorkers have lost faith in this politics.
Yeah, except that is totally false. I've worked with the Muslim community for many years.
Name a single mosque you went to when you were the governor.
mosque.
Can you name a single mosque you went to in 10 years?
Before you were ever here. They were
Before I was here.
Before you were even in state government. I worked with the Muslim community.
Yeah.
Imams presided over State of the States.
He can't name one.
We worked in religious working groups,
You couldn't
tolerance
visit a
groups,
mosque.
anti-Semitic groups, etc.
All right,
I'm
gentlemen,
sorry, he went to anti-Semitic groups? Is that what he said? I feel like no one's talked about. I haven't seen anyone talking about this. I obviously he misspoke, but saying I went to anti-Semitic groups, I think that might be a Freudian slip. Call me crazy. I think he just directly associates being Muslim with being anti-Semitic.
There is your recent refusal, as we just discussed, to condemn the slogan "Globalize the Intifada," which many view as a call to arms. In 2017, you rapped lyrics praising the Holy Land Five. These are men who were convicted of supporting terrorism. How would you assure New Yorkers, especially Jewish residents who might be concerned about this, that you would be a mayor for all? You have 1 minute to answer this.
Thank you for this opportunity. When I am speaking about the responsibility of leading this city, I mean leading not just those who voted for me, leading not just those who vote, but leading every single person who calls this city home. And that includes Jewish New Yorkers. And I have been so thankful for the opportunity I've had to sit with so many Jewish New Yorkers over the course of the primary and through the general. And it's in those conversations that I learned that this phrase evokes many painful memories. Memories of bus attacks in Haifa, of restaurant attacks in Jerusalem. And I heard from a rabbi about their roommate who was killed on one of those buses. And in hearing that and the distance between that impact and the rationale that some use of saying it, of speaking about the Israeli occupation of Palestinian land, is why I said that I would discourage this language that I do not use. And what I'm looking to do as the first Muslim mayor of this city is to ensure that we bring every New Yorker together. Jewish New Yorkers, Muslim New Yorkers, every single person that calls this city home, that they understand they won't just be protected, but they will belong.
So here's the thing. Zohran has definitely ceded a little bit of ground to Zionists, but I don't think he actually needs to do that. I genuinely think it probably just comes from a place of like, listen, a lot of Jews in the city don't like this phrase. They don't know the real meaning of it, and they have this association with this phrase that means kill all Jews. Clearly, it is easier to just say the value of this phrase is not greater than the value of simply reaching those voters. Now, one could make the argument that I think is legitimate to say he has the opportunity to educate folks. However, fighting back against billions of dollars of Israeli propaganda is incredibly difficult. And the more he pushes back against that, the more the AIPAC lobby, the more the Israel lobby more broadly is going to come down his throat. That sounds really bad. Zohran decisively won the primary election, and his polling shows that he will probably win the general election by a considerable margin unless Bill Ackman pays another $10 trillion and clones himself 8 million times or something like that, and then votes in every single polling place around the city. I don't know. But yeah, Zohran could absolutely be leading by educating people about phrases like globalize the Intifada, which of course does not mean death to the Jews. It actually means Andrew Cuomo is a pervert and volunteered to do Benjamin Netanyahu's legal defense work against the genocide case brought forth by the ICJ for free. And of course, speaking of Netanyahu, some folks have been saying that Zohran is backing down from saying that he'll arrest Bibi if he comes to New York, which I don't really understand. Just take a look at this.
One last thought on that. You have said that you would arrest Netanyahu if he came to the United States. You've been very outspoken in your criticism of him. Do you stand by that? You would arrest him if he came here, if you were mayor?
I've said that this is a city that believes in international law, and this is a city that wants to uplift and uphold those beliefs. The Prime Minister...
The United States doesn't stand by the International Criminal Court.
It hasn't signed the treaty for the International Criminal Court. The International Criminal Court, however, has issued a warrant for the arrest of Benjamin Netanyahu.
But what grounds in the United States could you arrest him on?
As it has for Vladimir Putin. I've said that I believe that we should uphold arrest warrants by the International Criminal Court, and that we should do so only in abiding with all of the laws in front of us. I'm not going to make a new law to ensure that we can actually do this.
Do you think that Commissioner Tisch would allow you to arrest Netanyahu in New York City?
I've appreciated Commissioner Tisch's leadership of the NYPD, and I think that she's done a good job at lowering crime across the city.
But do you think that she would go along with arresting Netanyahu in New York?
I can tell you that I'm going to exhaust every legal option in front of me, not to make new laws to do so.
Now, here's the thing. Some folks aren't content with that answer. And I could be wrong here. I think he knows ball. I could be wrong. But I think he knows what he's doing. He knows that Fox News is going to press him on the nerdy-ass angle of like, well, the legal standing of arresting modern-day Hitler is rather questionable. But I don't think in any way, shape, or form am I scared that Zohran Mamdani is secretly a Zionist. And here's why.
You didn't say leave it blank in the Kamala
I'll be very
campaign?
quick. I said leave it blank in the presidential primary because primaries are a place to air dissent. And like many Americans, I was horrified by the Israeli genocide of Palestinians. And if you want to look for me on the ballot, you'll find me as the Democrat.
Mr. Mamdani, thank you.
Excellent. So that's him outright saying that people should not vote for Kamala Harris in the primary election for the president of the United States because of her handling of the genocide of Palestinians. Point blank. And this is October 17th, 2025. This is not years ago. This is very recently. So it feels pretty cut and dry that he still feels pretty passionately about this, and he's not backing down, he's not hiding behind anything, especially given the fact that just a couple weeks ago, Kamala Harris herself, although reluctantly, endorsed Zohran Mamdani. So he's not trying to curry favor with the former VP. Clearly, he's coming for her throat. Again, that sounds bad. I gotta stop. What the fuck is the right phrase? I think it's worthwhile mentioning that in the Fox News interview, they ask him if he believes Hamas should disarm. And he skirts around the question in a way that I think is pretty well done. However, then in the actual debate, he goes on to say, like, yes, there should be a ceasefire. That means Hamas disarming. That means everyone disarming. We should have total peace. I don't have a problem with that. Listen, I know it might be glazing, but if you think he's going to say, arm Hamas, up the IRA, glory to the armed resistance fighters on a televised debate where he's just trying to seem like a normal dude who's going to lower your rent, respectfully, I think you're crazy. And I'm not saying that you're ill-intentioned. I'm just saying it's not going to happen in the system of the United States. In the capitalist democracy that the United States is, you're not going to have someone saying, like, glory to the armed resistance. Of course, though, if any of this disillusions you, I get it. That's why I personally moved to China, which is crazy, I know, and they're not, the armed revolutionaries themselves right now, but it doesn't matter. Most importantly, I promised you a rare Zohran video. And I think it might shed a little bit of light on just how he'll handle the big crime problems happening in New York City.
What? The guy said what? And he's the best. Are you serious? Ayagala Chiwoko. Chiwoko! What's up? Man, what's up? What's up? Man, what's up? Wahoo, now let's get together. Let's get together. Let's get together. And we settle this thing once and forever. I'm the best, press the test, I'm ahead of the rest. That's why I guess the work done when the hero this past. So now we gonna meet up and put an end to this mess. About to whoop this dude's ass from the east to the west. I mean, yo, you really think you coming for me? I mean, so. I mean, oh, you really thinking all you G? I mean, people love you more than the great white sea. Now yes, so. Wani, na yes, so wani. Babuzani, muno flani. I'll finish you like you don't sawani. Onatera kuchukange nkoko, natera kukuba chioko, jagara kubenga to. Hey, Sisoko.
Without song. Okay, so that was a not so comprehensive review of the first general election debate with Zohran Mamdani, Andrew Cuomo, and of course, the one and only Curtis Sliwa. No beret was shown tonight, which is a little bit disappointing. Hopefully, we'll see the beret in action in round 2. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please consider liking and subscribing and supporting the production on Patreon. I'm Hovagim, and I don't know how do I sign off? Okay, adios. Bye.